Hi, Steve.
Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Starting to dwindle a little bit here.
Starting what?
Dwindle a little bit here, huh?
Yeah. I think there may have been some confusion with
Oh.
when I proposed canceling choir and then all that.
That's some return music for you. It's way old.
Yeah, I wish I was more organized. You should have seen my week so far.
So you're doing 2 jobs now, or 3?
Yeah, well, yeah. I'm excited for choir tonight because I have a fun thing.
How's Roger doing?
Fine.
Tell him I said hello.
Yeah, he has starting a Rotaract club. So he has that meeting on Tuesday nights, so.
Okay.
So as long as we're having a music theory class, I'll be here.
And that's
You
why
might have to continue that.
that's why I keep going, Nancy, is for you.
I appreciate it.
Well, we need you in choir.
Yeah, sorry I missed Sunday.
Yeah, you weren't feeling well, that sucks, yeah.
Well, I was okay
Yeah,
after I had my food, but
oh, yeah. Like a low blood sugar thing, right?
yeah,
Yeah, that's not a good feeling.
and then I was kind of wiped out, so.
Hello!
Uh,
Oh, maybe it makes it warm. Feel warm.
Rocks in the shoals,
Yes.
sharps in the flats.
Sharps and flats, yes, that's right. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Hello to everybody online. All 2 of you, thanks for joining us. Yes,
Is one of them your mom?
maybe my mom and my wife actually, so
Just check this.
my fan club, excellent. So we are in week 4 now. Let me pull this up. And we'll do this. And boom. Okay, we're in week 4 now. We're looking at the sharps and the flats, the 5th. And we're doing a score study of Vivaldi this time. And then another composition activity. Yep. What I'd like to start with actually is playing through everybody's pieces from last time. If everyone has them. There's some semblance of the composition.
Mine's bad.
I'll actually start with Roxana's so you can, catch your breath.
All right, Roxana.
All right, Roxana. So in this exercise, I asked you to write a piece using only minor thirds, and then another piece using only major thirds. And I kept this very open-ended because in composition, you're usually given some task of some kind. Usually it's instrumental. You have to write a violin piece, for example. But in exercises like this, they can be really helpful because you get to break the rules a little bit, which is why I wore this shirt today. It's by Ornette Coleman, a famous jazz saxophone player, and it says, "It's when I knew I could make mistakes that I knew I was onto something." Now, in jazz, that makes a lot of sense. In classical music, not so much. Probably should play the notes on the page. But in composition, it definitely means a lot. So here's Roxana's piece using only minor thirds. And then what she did was she tried to reproduce that using only major thirds. So it's like the same song, but now it's major thirds instead. So it's like the light side and the dark side. Very different.
Just as minor, actually it sounded a little atonal.
It sounded a little atonal, and it sounded more minor
Yeah, it did.
than the major one.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool too, because the major one, or the minor one, ends like this. It sounds like C major, but remember, every major chord has a minor third in it. Okay? Now, and then in the major version, ends like that, which sounds like what we we call A minor. We're gonna learn more about these today. So I was excited to play this one for that reason. I wanna see what else other people got. What you got? You're still writing your stuff?
I forgot.
Okay, that's all right, no?
It's gonna be very, very soon.
Different.
I'm only half done.
That's okay, okay, you got the major, no, Steve? All right.
I restored it in the class, Charles.
You're on.
Oh, good, can I,
Okay, this is Kismet's.
I ran out of space.
It's a little unfinished, but
I wanted one more bar, but I ran out of space.
Oh. It's got a great start to it, actually. It's got a really nice chord progression, which I was hoping to get to this week, but I think it's better to save for next week. No, yeah,
You
yeah.
sound so good.
Yeah. Okay, good job. Yes, excellent. Using the major thirds on the white keys. And then this is Amels. So this is one line and then I go to the next line, right? It's not,
Yeah.
they're not at the same time? Okay.
No, not at the same time.
Okay, well, yeah. Is that let's see, is this A? I'm gonna assume it's an A.
Okay.
So this is the minor thirds one from Amel. Oh, wow. Just in time for our Asian music recital this Friday. This is definitely a lick you find. That's a classic lick in Chinese folk music. Okay, that's great. And then your major key version. Oh, there's that ending Kismet needed.
Oh, you just.
Yeah, that's good. Good use of the major thirds. Now, Amel deviated from the rules a little bit and wrote some steps. Step, 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 step. But that's okay, because when you make mistakes, you usually find out some cool things. Okay, excellent, Amel. Nancy, also, you know, you keep writing a two-part harmony. It's great.
Yeah, well, it's very basic.
Okay. It's basic, but it's complete sounding, you know? It's cool. So we've got minor thirds, and jump up, minor thirds, and minor thirds, and then ending with a step.
Yeah,
Yeah, you know.
I had to finish it.
Yeah, you had to finish it. And here's your major key version. Looks like the transposition in a major key of the first one, yeah. Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, that's great. So in classical music, they'll typically start a minor key piece, and then they'll produce a second theme in the corresponding major key. So if the piece starts in A minor, which is all white keys, they'll have some theme, and then they'll get to their second theme, and it'll be in the other key that's all white keys, which is
C.
C, yes, so whatever it is. So that was another connection I hope you were making too, is like, you know, what does the same theme sound like in major versus minor? Oh, Donna, you have one for me?
I have one. You want it?
Hot off the press. Thank you, thank you. Okay, Donna, here's minor thirds. Oh.
Sonata.
Yes, it's Debussy.
Yeah.
Ooh, cool. It's haunting when you play it slow. Yeah, but this is a. Yeah, it's in a. Okay, and now we have the minor key version. Oh, those are minor, or I'm sorry, major key version, but those are minor thirds you started with, Donna. these are major thirds. Okay, the
I
E.
did a minor, I thought I transposed it, the same, the top into the bottom.
So what did you need to do? You have D and F. You need to make it either D flat or F sharp. So it needs to get wider, right? D to F
I
is,
counted wrong.
you counted wrong, yeah. 0, 1, 2, 3, yeah. So
I
then
thought I
it,
was counting to 5, I only counted to 4.
you thought you were counting to 4, you only counted to 3. Because remember the first one's 0. 1, 2, 3.
Not to me.
Okay. Okay, fair. That's what it would sound like with F sharps. That's good. So it's like we went from like a A minor to G major kind of sound. Okay, cool. Thanks everybody. Good work on your assignments. It's one part practicing using thirds, which really helps with consolidation. And then the other part is just having fun. And maybe you find out you want to be a composer. It's never too late to start. Never too late. There's a great story by the guy, Oliver Sacks. If anyone knows about him, he's a neuroscientist. He wrote a lot of cool books. One story was called Bolt from the Blue. And it was a case study on a man who got struck by lightning and then could start playing the piano. And before that, he was like an engineer or something like that. And then suddenly he's playing the piano and then he's composing music. And so that was the case study. That's a cool story. Bolt from the Blue, look it up, Oliver Sacks. Okay, so now we ran into the issue last week with your assignments of trying to make thirds without using accidentals. Yes, and it's hard. It's hard, you're very limited. So we're gonna learn about making thirds with accidentals. And first I'm gonna review the kind of abstract concept I talked about last time, which is the idea of why do we have black keys? Why did they do this to us? And the reason why is because of this monstrosity. What's going on? Where is C? I can't find it. It doesn't exist. So this is why we have black keys, right? We need some landmarks on the keyboard, but we don't have them.
You have a typo.
Where? E-E-A-U?
Where the heck is C?
Oh, it is. Also, I'm looking for my little thing that lets me do stuff.
Slacking, man.
Me?
No, I'm talking to you.
There it is. There it is. Blue. Okay. So this is a quick little history thing. We can skip over it. You can read it at home, on the toilet, whatever you want to do. Okay. But if you're wondering why we don't have 12 letters in our musical alphabet, which would make more sense, right? We have 12 notes, 5 black, 7 white. Why don't we have 12? Because as history goes, you just kind of add on to what the last person did. And so the last person was like, we have 7 notes. And, well, we're not going to go farther than 7. We have to have notes in between those 7. And so that's how we get the black keys. They're literally the notes in between the 7 that we have. Does that make sense? So that's the long and short of it. So moving on, we are going to figure out what these accidentals are, what they mean. So when I say up, I mean what direction on the piano?
Right.
Right. When I say down, I mean left. Okay? Think low left. And then right is whatever's left. Whatever's left. It's to the right. Okay, so we've got our sharp symbol, we've got our flat symbol, and you can see here that they can mean the same note. This is where things get confusing. This note right here, C sharp, gorgeous note. There's D flat. Could you tell the difference?
No.
I hope not. If you could, something's going on, yeah. There's no difference. These are called enharmonic. You see the word harmonic in there, having to do with sound? They are the same note, but they're spelled differently. So what I want you to do right now is take a second and label all of these black keys in relation to the white key to their right. So I'm gonna start you off, if you're confused. This one is B flat, because I'm looking at B here, and I'm going down. Every black key has a relationship to the white key next to it. So take a second, do that, then I'll start on the sharp side over here, different color. C sharp.
Not to confuse things, Charles, while we're thinking about this,
Yeah.
why historically do we not usually think of, say, you know, a couple of things we don't think of. We don't usually think about D flat and G flat, right? We don't usually write notes that way, right? We usually
Oh,
flat
as
notes.
opposed to
yes, we
C
do.
sharp and F sharp?
Right,
That's a great question. That all comes to the circle of fifths.
okay,
Is it, let me make sure everyone's done with this first,
Okay.
and then I'll address that. That has a quick answer.
okay,
You're lucky, you asked an easy one.
okay, sorry.
No, it's okay. So,
Trying hard.
yeah, try.
So far, I haven't stumped him yet, so.
You've been on Wikipedia every night this week trying to research and what could he answer? You'll get, I'm sure there's a lot I don't know. Okay, are we all good? I'm seeing some faces. Okay, say them out loud with me. We got E flat,
A flat,
A flat,
G flat, E flat,
yes,
D.
D flat,
excellent. Okay, and C sharp,
D sharp,
D
D
sharp,
sharp,
D sharp,
F sharp,
F sharp,
F sharp,
G
G
sharp,
C
sharp,
sharp,
A sharp.
A sharp. Great. Before I answer Steve's question, one important thing. The act of making something sharp or flat is really not turning it into a black key. It's going up a half step or down a half step. So if I'm in the key, okay, bear with me for a second. If I'm in the key of C flat major, what's my starting note?
B.
B.
That's right, the enharmonic equivalent of C flat is B. And yes, there is a key signature called C flat.
then there's one called F flat too.
There is not. That is, so yeah, and I'll explain eventually, but we're not there yet. But we have a circle of fifths, and as you go to the right, up to 7 o'clock on the circle, you get sharp keys. And if you go to the left, equally as far, 7 o'clock, you get flat keys. Okay, so C flat is over here, and then correspondingly, B major is right there, because they're the same sound, but different spelling. What's the word? Enharmonic. These are enharmonic keys. Okay? Is anybody upset?
Completely confused?
What?
Completely confused?
Yeah.
Yes.
You are? Okay.
Yeah, cause I don't get the 7 o'clock thing, like that doesn't even, I'm confused
Oh.
because you're using a clock on a piano. Oh, I know where 7 o'clock is on there,
Clock.
Oh, okay.
It's going backwards.
but
It only goes 7.
is it because there's
Keys.
seven, it's because of the seven A, B, C, D, E, F, G?
Yes!
Thank you.
Exactly. Well, that's why we have 7 sharps and 7 flats. Because we only have 7 notes.
Yes,
Because you can't have H sharp. There's no H.
right.
Unless you're in Germany.
Oh, jeez.
Don't even,
Don't,
yeah.
let's not go there.
No.
I'm so,
Okay, so I'm saying clocks because when we start learning about key signatures, we're gonna start having keys that go in the 2 o'clock position, G major, D major, A major, etc. So I'm just saying, like, when we start looping around with sharps, we have to stop somewhere. Because imagine F flat major for a second. Let's spell it. Let's spell the key, the glorious key of F flat major. What's the first note?
E.
E.
No, F flat.
F flat.
F flat.
yeah, F flat.
Okay. Whole step up, right? Whole, half, whole, half. Whole step up from F flat. Think about it.
Yeah.
What is it?
G flat.
That's right. Does everybody understand
Yeah.
what he just said?
G flat. which is
G
F
flat?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
What's the next note?
A flat.
A flat.
That's right, okay, so let me just keep us on track here. There's a whole step, G flat to A flat, whole step. Next note has to be half step,
C flat?
G,
C flat.
C.
Uh-oh.
No,
It's A.
Uh-oh.
It is
Well, you can't have this.
but it must be
Why?
B. Oh, yeah.
You can't have
No,
the
that's
same
gotta be
letter twice in a row. Why?
gotta be
Because it's dang confusing. So,
You could play that.
it will sound good. Well, what's the next note?
A.
Okay, A flat to A
B.
is the
B.
half.
Things are getting pretty gnarly here.
B, yeah.
Next note.
C sharp.
C
Okay, let's do it. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. Who's ready? Next note.
D sharp.
Alrighty. Next note to get to the top of the octave. We got seven, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
E
E.
sharp.
E
F-
sharp?
No, F flat, F
But
flat.
then where's E?
There's no
He
E.
doesn't have a home. There's
Is that
no,
Because
There's
we
gotta be
double
an
A.
E. There's got to be an E.
Because
there
we
has
double.
to be exactly one of each letter.
So when we do A to A, that's what messes it up.
Yes, and also just imagine this key signature for a second. If you know what a key signature is, it's a mess of accidentals
Yes.
at the beginning of a piece of music,
You
usually.
can't have both.
You can't have both flat sharps in the key signature.
No.
Yes, correct. Correct.
Ah,
Just think of how much more work it is.
that would be really hard.
Yes,
Very confusing.
it would be, just.
Thank you, Charles, you've absolutely explained that to me finally. Nobody for.
Oh, really?
I get it. I
You have to go
get
through the whole process. You have to get
I
to this
totally get it.
mind-numbing point. So what should this note be? Not A, but B double flat.
Yes.
That exists. What's the next note? It's gotta be something C, right?
C double flat.
C, no, just C
No,
flat.
Just C
C
flat.
Don't get too crazy. And then D double flat. Wait, no, just D
No,
flat.
D
Just
flat.
E flat.
D flat, and then E
Flat.
flat, and then F flat. Okay,
So-
but now you have the B double flat. Just imagine the confusion when you look at a key signature with a bunch of flats and you see two next to each
it.
other.
Like double flat. Like
Yes.
no way.
Because
Okay.
that is the symbol for a double flat, it's just two flats next to each other.
It's really a real thing?
Yes, they were very creative with the double sharp. It looks like this, like a jack, like a game of jacks.
Yes.
That's a double sharp right there, and then double flat is just two flats kind of awkwardly close to each other.
I've never seen a piece of music with that on it.
You may never. And here's the answer to Steve's question. Because the farther you get along the circle of fifths, the more accidentals and the more complicated all the music becomes. Suddenly now, if you want to have a note outside of the key, it's no longer just A natural. It's B double flat. It has to be part of that new flat world. If we're in the key of G flat, for instance. Don't worry about it. But the point is that as you get around the circle of fifths more, and equally this way, basically anywhere in this area, from like 4 to 7 o'clock, you start getting into double flat territory when you're writing music. But when you're looking at the key, you might have up to 7 flats. Now, if you play piano, this is common. Almost every pianist,
It's awful.
almost every pianist composer writes a piece in every key. Bach did. That's why we have the 24 preludes and fugues in major and in minor. We have a C flat major prelude. We have a G flat major prelude. We don't have an A sharp because that doesn't exist. But we have every key. So pianists have to cover a lot of ground. Question, Emil.
So a D double flat, would that be a C?
Exactly. Excellent. D double flat equals C.
Okay.
Yes, you've passed Calculus 101. Congratulations. If you can write equations like that. But that's excellent, Emil, because now you're understanding the principle of the flat and sharp method. We're going up and down by a certain amount. And that's basically what it's just giving you an instruction. Go up this half step, go down this half step. I like to think of it like a board game sometimes, like Chutes and Ladders as a very simple example. Roll a die, you get a 1, you go up a half step, that kind of thing. I actually do that with kids too when I teach them piano. Okay, cool. Here's our activity. So we visualized it on the keyboard. You've asked me all the questions you could possibly want, I hope. No, there's probably more. Now we're gonna write them on the keyboard, or on the staff. So maybe take out your laminated piece from the beginning if you want to have a keyboard that you can see. Like Amy, you got yours out, that's great. Okay, and we're gonna write those going up, and then identify if they're major or minor. So this is gonna feel familiar like last week's assignment, but now you have to identify them just based on the notes I've given you. I'm not asking you to add any accidentals yet. That's step 2. Who can remind me, what is the shortcut for skipping in the staff? The shortcut. So,
Oh, line to line, space to space.
yes, Emil, that's right. So this should take you no time, because you're just going to go up to the next space, up to the next line, whatever it is. And that's just step 1. We'll do step 2 together. Remember your stem direction if you're working on that. Okay.
Explain the stem direction again.
The middle line of the staff, as soon as you hit it, the stem starts going down. Okay? If you're, assuming you're going up. Okay? Again. Okay. Check your work up here. Check your work looks good. Looks good. Yes? Yes? Did you identify the intervals, major or minor?
They're all minor.
Oh, yeah.
D, oops. That should be an F. D to F, minor. Okay. A to C, minor. E to D, minor. E to G, minor. Exactly. Now we're going to add a sharp in front of each of them. What do I mean by in front? I mean like to the left. You want to try your best to get the window of the sharp, which is the middle circle of the tic-tac-toe thing right here. You want that to be where the note head is. So if your note head is on a line, you want it to be, want that square to have that line go right through it. If you have it on space, you want it to not go higher or lower than the space. Ideally, just makes it easy.
Draws yours with a little tilt, is that?
Tilted.
Yeah, they should have a little tilt, or they could be like this, I think. I don't know. I don't care.
Okay.
If it's more of a pound sign or a hashtag, I'm not gonna lose sleep over that.
It's not very tilted looking in the printed version. At least not on the Hayden surprising.
Oh, I figured out how to erase.
Woohoo.
Oh, now I'm gonna sound cool.
Ooh.
Now you're dangerous.
Yes.
Now you figured out how to make mistakes.
Yeah. Before I was trying not to. Okay, ready to move on?
We just made them all majors by putting in the
That's
sharp.
exactly what we did. We made them all major because we made it go a little farther. Yeah, any more questions?
So you added another half step, because you said before, for every major, there's a minor.
That's when we're talking about a triad, which I'm getting ahead of myself when I say that.
Okay.
Yeah. But we'll get there. Okay. Here we go, next thing. Right thirds going down and identify if they are major or minor. So you're going to have to practice your ledger lines here. The first one is going to be going lower than the staff.
Down. Oh, Charles.
That's the only one. That's the only one.
Right thirds.
You'll have to add your own line.
have any staff paper.
Yeah, dang it, mine.
I would bet that staff paper was one of the first pre-printed line paper made.
I would, I
You don't
think
think
you're
it
right.
was the kind with the boxes? Like graphic?
No, like this, staff paper,
Staff
like,
paper was first pre-printed, pre-ledgered.
Huh,
it may have been.
I would have thought the math would have come first.
And then just immediately after, they started printing those school books with the dashed lines so you could practice your cursive.
I don't think they do that anymore.
No, they don't, but I was part of maybe the last
It's very
cohort
sad.
of students that had to do that.
It's very sad.
Okay, now we're gonna add a flat.
Mhm.
You want the B, the bottom, like the bulbous part of the flat to be in the space or on the line, whatever it is. The flat is a little scriptier looking. Looks like that, kind of. Just try to distinguish it from your normal lowercase b.
Half a heart,
Huh?
Yeah.
half a heart.
Yeah, like half heart, yeah. Ah, erase. Okay, now what are they? Before they were,
Minors.
Minors.
yep, now they're
Majors.
That's right. We just made it larger. By going down. These all, they started sounding like this. Now they're. Yes, major intervals have a tendency to sound more dissonant when they are scattered. We'll talk about that. And it's because of the pentatonic scale. Okay, now let's make minor thirds going up. So I've given you somewhat random notes, and you've got 8 of them to do. And now you have to add your own accidentals. Use that keyboard if you want. If you need to, you're gonna tap, 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 0, 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever it is. Well, it's 0, 1, 2, 3 actually. But you know, you can always start by just drawing in the third, the natural third, because you know line to line. So I'm going to start by doing that. We'll check your stem direction. There. Going up, right? Yeah.
So you could also make a minor third by sharpening a secondary interval, a 2-note interval, can you?
Sharpening a secondary interval,
And go half a half step.
meaning, well, I'm asking you to sharp or flat, one of.
I know, but that's, you're starting out with a third period,
Yeah.
a note interval. But then you're gonna make it minor by putting it down or,
Yes.
right, okay.
Now, I don't know if you're asking this, but you can move the note you just drew in down to make it minor, or you could move the note that you started on up, if you want to get crazy, but I'm not asking for that. But if you want to practice that, that's great.
Right.
Because you could do that.
I say, if you have like a C to D, which would normally be only the second interval, but you could put sharp to D, D sharp, that would make a third, right? Minor
That would make it
No.
it would sound like a minor third,
third, right?
Jeez.
but it would make a second
Okay,
that's been enlarged. So
Okay.
the word we call that is augmented.
augment,
It would
okay.
be an augmented second.
Got it, so the notes actually have to be a third drawn to be considered a third.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
exactly. It's gotta be a third on the staff
Okay.
without any accidentals. And then if I take this and I go like flat, whoops. I go sharp here and flat here. Now it's actually a fourth. other, but we call this an augmented third. You almost never see this kind of stuff in music because it's so dang weird to look at.
Well, yeah, I mean, you want a standard so that, you know, and probably it's typographical as well, so like, don't make it weird, so
Yeah.
people can read it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, how are we doing?
Great.
Awesome. What is this first one? Give me this first one. What did you do? Amy, what'd you do to this first one?
I put a flat in front of the E.
Excellent. All right. Donna, what did you do to this one?
I went the wrong direction.
Perfect. Nancy, what did you do to this one?
Nothing.
Exactly, that's right. Nothing is already in minor third. Kismet, what'd you do to this one?
Which one?
The third one.
I made the
G.
B flat.
B flat, that's right. Steve, this one. The last one on that line.
And do nothing.
Exactly. Okay. So it sounds like we're all on the right track. So I'm going to move on. I actually have to move on, and then I just want to show you what we're doing in here. Just circle a couple of things. This is going to be kind of what you do at home. We've got a clef change. We're all in bass clef now. You've got to practice your bass clef. Just be glad I'm not making you practice the alto clef. No one wants to practice that. Okay, and what you're going to do is a minor third going up. Remember, you can just start by getting all this work done, put in these notes, and then figure out how many half steps. Okay? That's easy, right?
Yep.
More or less? In practice, minor third, major thirds going down, major thirds going up, and minor thirds going down. Yeah, there's nothing screwball about this one. I'm not trying to get tricky with any of these questions. Okay, we're on unit 2 now. Yay, fifth. I plead the fifth. The fifth. Okay. So first, you're going to use this space down here. Write a third, any third you want in this treble clef here. Write a third. Okay? Here's a third. G. Oh my gosh, it's so uncalibrated. It sounds kind of small. Okay. So I wrote them vertical. I stacked them on top. If you did them across, that's fine too. Now you're going to write a third above that third, creating another third stacked on top of it. Okay?
Your third.
It's a snowman.
It's a snowman. Should look like this. This is kind of small for me to draw on. So hopefully you get it. Okay, now erase the middle note. Look at me, I just learned how to erase. Small eraser. Okay, yeah. Hopefully you're using pencil. Now you have made a fifth.
Maybe.
You've made a fifth, for sure.
It says chances.
Fifth, yes, you have made a fifth. Chances are you've created a perfect fifth.
Oh.
So we have qualities, major, minor, perfect. Those are the three we're going to work on. Okay? And that's it. Not that other one I
About
mentioned.
imperfect?
What? What'd you say?
Now we're gonna talk about imperfect?
No, there's no such thing as an imperfect fifth.
Oh, okay.
That's not a term we use.
All right, I thought it was gonna start to be like Spanish stuff.
Yeah, that'd be fun, like the imperfect tense.
Correct.
Yeah, okay, so what is an imperfect fifth? Let's work it out together. So, here we go. 3 half steps in a third. Okay?
Minor third,
Yes, minor third.
right?
And 4 half steps in a
Major.
third.
major third. Great. So a perfect fifth has
6.
7 half steps.
Oh. Oh, you have to add the two together.
Just 3 plus 4.
Oh,
So remember, you have to, one of them, so it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that 0 lines up with the 3, so then 3 plus 4 is 7. Okay, and then at the bottom of the page, figure out how many half steps in the fifth I drew for you. How many half steps between B and F? And I gave you a keyboard there. At the bottom, tap, tap, tap. Tell me how many half steps.
Would it be 7?
Don't, well, is that a guess, Emil?
Well, you just said above,
Huh? No.
a perfect 7, a perfect fifth has 7 half steps.
It does, but I didn't say this was perfect.
Oh,
There are 7.
There's only 6.
6.
Okay, let's do it together. B,
Oh, that's
0,
right.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've arrived at our destination. 6 half steps. It is, dun, 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 not a perfect fifth. It has to have 7. I'll show you what a 6 half step fifth sounds like.
So it's
Pretty dissonant.
Pretty dissonant. That's perfect. If you ever get your piano tuned, usually by the second stage of the tuning process, they're looking at the fifths. This piano's kind of out of tune, so some of those fifths don't sound too great. That one's good though. That's a little out. That one's good. So that's perfect fifth. It's perfect because it has no major minor quality to it. I don't know what the wording is all about with perfect. You know, it's not like perfect in a natural sense, like a physics sense. So
And that has something to do with the pentatonic scale, right? It's something it's like the halfway point up and down. It's the whole
Yeah.
whole Greek mode thing again, right?
it probably has to do with the tuning that they use just intonation before they made the piano sound the way they do. They used to tune to the fifth, how they tune originally. Again, I audited that class, so I can't help you. If Professor John Wilde is listening. Okay, so not all fifths are perfect. Okay, perfect fifth must comprise a blank third and a blank third,
Minor.
minor
And-
and a major.
or major and a minor. It can't be both, and minor or both major. That's the important part. Both minor thirds, 2 minor thirds, makes 6. Makes that. 2 major thirds makes that. Just a different interval. It's not a fifth anymore. Okay. There's always some light with the darkness. Just think of Star Wars. So let's label fifths on the keyboard. So
anything that's not called a perfect fifth, it has no minor or major label to it?
it might,
Okay.
it might, it could be augmented, it could be minor, major, it could be diminished. Those are the options. There's 5.
Now another term, diminished.
Yes, diminished. Okay, so we're making fifths. If you're the diligent student, you are counting each half step you take. If you want the shortcut with the white keys, most of them are just like plunk your hand down, boom, five fingers is a perfect fifth, also called the power chord. But I'd like you to all be diligent students and actually tap it out. Do the, no, let's do 3. Do the 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Lucky number 7. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this note. Oops, write this out. Oops. Fix that. Okay. My eyes. This note. That note. Okay, now we get to second line here. We've got a smiley face on a black key. Same process. That's 0, You go to the next one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Ding, ding, ding. It's a black key. Okay, and then starting on F. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. White key. Starting on D. Here's how you figure that out. B to F is not a perfect fifth, right? It's 6 half steps. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. To make it perfect fifth, go up one more. Now you got 7. Woohoo!
I love how 7 is a fifth, that's weird.
Yeah, wouldn't it be nice if it
Was
wound up?
5? Yeah.
Wouldn't that be great?
It's easier to understand.
It'd make more logical sense to me, but.
Yes. Yes, okay. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. With me so far?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Great. Moving on. Score analysis. Woo!
Oh, no.
Woo woo.
Wooey woo. So here is Vivaldi. Who can tell me what musical era of Vivaldi comes from? Baroque, classical, romantic, or modern?
Baroque.
Yes! Baroque. He is the other famous Baroque composer, the first being
Gabriele.
Bach.
Bach.
Who'd you say?
Gabriele.
Gabriele? Yeah, but not as famous as Bach.
Huh?
Baroque, Bach the Baroque. Vivaldi is his Italian wannabe. So that's our little violin concerto in A minor. Really great piece. This has a full orchestra behind it, or Baroque orchestra, but this is just the violin part. So ignore all these little numbers and the little symbols. These are violin fingerings, and then the other things are articulations. So just ignore these things.
Uh-huh.
Don't let them trip you up.
Okay.
Okay, so what are we doing? Time signature, always got to keep track of that. We've got to circle 4 Gs. Hint, there's not that many. Circling 4 Es, identifying 1 major third, identifying 6 minor thirds, and then find the perfect fifth. And at the bottom here you can see, oh, there we go. At the bottom here. Oops. That's cool. Do that. Do that. 2P means everybody play together. Thanks, Antonio. Okay. So, let me move on real quick to the last assignment. Okay, the last part of this week, the composition activity. So, you're doing, it's in 2 parts, and then there's this little bonus at the bottom. Part 1, you're going to write a tune. Just right here, only right here, you write the tune. Okay, don't use both staves, because that's for part 2. Part 2 is going to refer to that staff. You're going to write a 4-bar tune, Kismet, okay? You got to complete it in 4 bars. Okay? So 1, 2.
Oh, I can't do it in 5 bars?
Well, remember, you can break the rules.
I'll write smaller.
My composition teacher told me a story about how she was commissioned to write a 15-minute long piece, and then she finished the piece, and it was 12 minutes. And they were like, we told you 15, and she's like, well, the piece is 12. It's like, what are you gonna do, ask Beethoven to write a 30-minute symphony? He can't do it. He can only write hour-long symphonies.
So play it 30% slower and you'll be at 15, right?
Yeah. Thanks, Steve.
Add a repeat.
Repeat something, yeah.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. But yeah, no, you're right. It's very constraining to be told how long something has to be, but just try to do 4 bars. And then underneath, you're going to write a left-hand part that comprises only vertically stacked thirds. That means not this kind of thing, right? But instead this kind of thing. And I know you all can do this because I've seen you all do it in your assignments. I know it's possible.
These are two separate lines. They're not together.
Huh, here? Oh,
No.
these?
Yeah,
Correct,
I
they're not
mean,
together.
The bar lines don't go all the way down.
Oh, well, they should. Yeah, they should. Thanks, Donna. Yeah, good call.
Well then, okay,
Yeah,
we're writing a four-part piece.
4-bar piece. That's it, yeah, that's right. You're writing a 4-bar piece. So say your melody does whatever, da 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 da, bang, okay? And then you're done with your melody. Now you're gonna, what we call this the process of harmonizing. You're gonna harmonize your melody. You're gonna put your notes at the bottom. They can be half notes, they can even be whole notes. They can be a bunch of quarter notes. But the rule is they all have to be stacked thirds. That's the rule. So you can do whatever you want in both places, but you have a roll for your right hand, if you're a pianist, and then you have a roll for your left hand. Does this make sense? Are there any questions? Okay. And then the bonus,
What's the bonus?
you just write a note, a perfect fifth above the lowest note of each stacked third. So you're going to write a third on top. Okay? But you have to make sure that it's a perfect fifth from the lowest note. So then you're going to take out your keyboard and say, okay, I've got D and I've got A. Is that 7 half steps? Yes? Great. Not all of them will be 7 half steps automatically by just drawing on the next white spot. White key area. Okay, cool? And then here's what you could say to your friends at the opera. A tutti bravo e brava. Which means, good job to everybody. Next question I get from Steve is, how come everything in music is Italian?
Because they were innovators.
They were. The guy who invented the staff paper, as we know it, was Italian. So he got to put that flagpole in that place, and then for the following 400 years, Italy won that fight.
Civilization moved from Greek to Rome, to Italy,
Yeah.
to France, to England, to the United
Yep.
States.
Yep. The Italians didn't win many wars, but they won music. Okay, cool. Thanks, everybody. Any questions? No? All right. Cool. Thank you for joining us. And I'm going to end the stream now. Oh, slow down, okay?